started from. Can you, if you, of course, I believe know, talk us through memory lane where this old crack in the wall that is about to fall started from?
Well, I want to say that I have followed the political activities of all the major political parties in the country, and I can tell you for free that the PDP has never had a chairman running a complete term without the tenure being truncated. Yeah, we've had chairmen of PDPs being removed from office, some by the sitting president when the party was in government. We've had a sitting chairman of the party just sleeping and waking up the next morning, he's removed. Call it board of trustee members or stakeholders. So, and all this, have contributed to what we have viewed and seen the PDP to be one party that lacks internal democracy. Because a party that has internal democracy must have a mechanism, must also have a way to resolve its issues without, overheating the polity. Assuming the PDP were to be in government at the center and all these issues are coming up, the government would have been distracted. That is what the PDP had been when the PDP was in the center. We had the chairman, the tussle between the chairman of the party and some members of the party, and sometimes you drag on, and this will affect the governance of the country. The current issue started from after the PDP's national convention that produced the PDP presidential candidate, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Although he said he should not be addressed as Alhaji, Mr. Atiku Abubakar. And then shortly after that, we had the nomination of the running mate, where Gov Nyesom Wike was, mentioned.
Shortlisted.
Governor Yokowa was also mentioned. Governor Emmanuel was also mentioned. And at the end of the exercise process, we heard rumor that Wike was preferred, and then Atiku came up with the list of Ifeanyi Yokowa as his candidate.
I think you should complete that one. Wike scored 16 out of the 19 votes. That's the information we are aware of.
Okay, so if Wike was preferred, that's why I use the word preferred. I wouldn't want to go into the voting pattern. Wike was preferred, and the party, of course, the party's candidate who has the right to nominate who will work with him, that is Mr. Atiku Abubakar, had to pick Ifeanyi Yokowa. Of course, I was one man that never believed that Atiku will work with Wike. My personal perception of Wike as a governor is a man who is a combative governor. That's the way I view him. And I also believe that Nigeria may not want to work with a combative vice president. Assuming the current vice president of Nigeria, that is Professor Yomi Osibanjo, were to be combative, I don't think this country will survive. So we need someone who will be talking, unity, talking cool-headed and ready to work with the president and then get things done rightly. I wouldn't want to see, I don't know, but my perception is that I don't think that Wike would have wanted to play a subservient role where he becomes silent from the public scene, where he's only been asked to do what the president asked him to do, where if he does something, president can tell him, or the presidency can tell him, no, this is not what we want you to do. Sit here, don't do this, don't do that. So I don't see Wike to be in such a position. So when his name was even mentioned ab initio on the list of those that we are, touted for the position of vice president, I have said openly that Wike may not be able to work with the Atiku, and Wike may not be able to work as vice president because of his combative nature. That being said, his name was mentioned. He had even said before now, when he was contesting for the office of the president, he said that he would never be vice president, because he was asked in an interview, he said he can never be vice president, and he would rather, when he lost, he goes back to his, job. So with all those things coming to play, and with vested interest in his name being mentioned and all those things, we haven't lost out in the major contest of the presidency at the ticket, and also been lost out in the vice presidential slot. I would have thought that the party, the PDP now, would have looked for a way to be able to talk him to accept the outcome of these processes, and to, like he said, that if we were to challenge the primaries, the convention, the PDP convention that produced the article, that he would have gone to court to say that the time that those aspirants withdrew after they were asked to make speeches, and they made speeches and they left, and then Tambuwa now went and withdrew from the contest, that it was already out of place, that they would have challenged it. This morning I was going through a report. I read a report where they said that Wike has a case in court that he brought before Atiku challenging the primaries. Even though he had debunked this, I think the case is coming up sometime this month in the Federal High Court, Abuja. So I wouldn't know what to believe, because I remember Wike was I think there was a program, he was trying to commission a project in Rivers State where he debunked that he never asked anyone to file a suit against Atiku and against the party. But this morning there is a report that the matter is coming up in the Federal High Court. Now, all these are the issues that the PDP have to deal with. Again, the PDP chairman, Yochayu, had also said again that if a northern candidate emerges, he will step down, because it will be morally unwise to have a not candidate, a northern president and a northern chairman of a party, that he will step down to allow for unity, that is a north and a south balance. This is what is now being used against him. Having pretended over the convention that has produced a northern candidate, for me, he would have done the honorable thing to keep to his promise and step down. This would have put paid. Maybe if this had happened long before now, I don't think Wike would be dragging on. Coming out tough to say those who are calling on you to resign, to keep to your promise, are children that were not there when you started playing politics. For me, it was unnecessary. It was even heating up the politics. You cannot beat a child and deny the child from crying. What they are saying, what the children are saying, assuming they are children, what they are saying is that we need justice. Let's even look at it. What they are saying, is it justifiable? Is it right that you have a northern candidate for party and a chairman who is a northern chairman? You have a trustee chairman who is also from the north.
The BOT predominantly north.
What happens to the other, region that constitute the party? Are you now telling us that you are having a northern party in PDP, which is not what it is? So, for fairness, for justice, for equity, it would have been nice that the party chairman resigns and allow the South to produce one. Now, if he's calling them children, is a Bode George a child at his age?
That's an elder statesman.
I mean, you could hear him speaking out at Port Harcourt, even re-echoing what Wike is saying, that there is need for a unity amongst the region. You need to also allow the South to produce to produce the president. Now, the party is the party that said power should shift. In fact, I have said over time on this program and elsewhere that the issue of power zoning, that zoning is a creation of PDP. From 1999 till date, PDP has been the one that has been using the word zoning. It is even in their constitution.
Yes.
So if that is what the PDP believes, then it is not upheld when it comes to who becomes the country's president. Something is wrong about it.
But there is also the argument that in that Asaba Accord, where the governors and some stakeholders agreed that power will come to the South, after agreeing, and it got to the point where the contest was thrown open, like they reneged on their promise, some of these governors would have walked out in protest.
You see, like I said before, lack of internal democracy is what is affecting the PDP and other major political parties in the country. I read a statement from one of the founding member of PDP in Akwa Ibom State, Chief Mbesesien, the ex-minister of ex-minister of urban renewal and then former House of Rep member, who asserted in an interview, or when a candidate of a party visited him in his hometown in Eket, he said that the major parties may collapse after the 2023 context. And if you read his statement, you will see that the point he's making is genuine. What is he saying? That there are those who own the parties. These parties you see, there are those who own it. This party ought to be Nigerian party where everybody will have equal opportunity, equal right to aspire to belong. You pay your dues, you contest. But as it stands now, there are those who are the owners of the party who dictate the pace of what plays out. So by that particular assertion, therefore, he is saying that after the 2023 contest, that some parties will collapse. What led to the PDP losing the center in 2015 was issues like this, when some persons played Lord, some governors of the state played Lord that they own the state, they own the party, they control, they tell who becomes what in some states. And then when that happens, the other players, felt aggrieved, and then while they were still there, some of them left the party, some remained there and worked against the party. So that is what happened. So what we are simply saying, the Asaba Accord, of course, you don't expect everybody to behave that way, rascally, to work out in a rascally manner. There are those who believe in dialogue. Fine, if the party breach its own constitution that the party has upheld from 1999 till 2022, the party now come to breach it. There's something is wrong with the party. Then if the party want to make amends, to make atonement, you need to also listen to what your members are saying. What are they saying? Fine, you have breached your constitution. Okay, haven't done this, you should allow the other side to also have a say, to also have, okay, imagine like we have, by 28th of this month, campaign will be lifted. Now the party's chairman will be the one to issue out the flags to the party's candidate. You can imagine somebody from the north, who is the party chairman in Yochayo, issuing out the party flag to Atiku, who is from the north. What message are you sending out to other region and to people who are from this other region, who are in your party? So for me, you are simply telling the world, telling the other region that to hell with your demands. So for me, it will be right, whether it is one day to the 28th of September, whether it is one day that is left, let the chairman of the party relinquish the office for somebody from the south, so as to allow for equity and balance.
But if we say the chairman should leave office now, will that not affect the party in a way? Will that not affect the perception of the party? Because look at it, campaign is about to begin, and all of this, some persons will say, is just nothing but mere distractions.
That is why I have said, whether it is one day that is remaining, that is 24 hours to 28th of September, the right thing should be done. It is good to err in the side of justice. You are looking at time. I'm telling you that morally speaking and legally speaking, the party has breached its constitution. Yeah, how do you amend that?
But Wike himself, in that convention, said that whoever emerges as the winner, that he was going to support that person wholeheartedly. Is he not going against the promise he also made?
No, you are not.
No, let's go from one place to another, because this is where the whole conversation is coming from.
I'm not holding brief for Wike, but I'm just listening to his agitations.
Outbursts.
It's outbursts.
More like outbursts now.
I've taken time now to begin to study what Wike is asking for. Is what he's asking for right or wrong? I think what he's asking for is right. That's one. Two, Wike saying that he will accept the outcome of the convention that will produce the party's candidate.
As at that time.
No, it's different from what Wike is saying today.
So it seems like he settled his grouse with Atiku, so to speak.
Wike has no issue with Atiku. They even met in London. He has no issue with Atiku. Have you ever heard him come out heavy against Atiku? Have you ever heard Atiku speaking against Wike? Wike has moved on the issue of who become the party's candidate. Now it is the issue of balancing the power equation. It's the issue of allowing the party chairman to come from this other zone. Now the question would be, will Wike become the party chairman? The answer is no.
Why?
Because he's already a governor.
But you believe in office?
It doesn't really matter. We're talking about Wike will be in office as a governor. Will he have the time to run around? Will the party constitution allow him to be a sitting governor and also holding the party's office as a chairman? Would he be holding two public offices?
Is that against the constitution?
Of course. You can't. if you are holding a public office, you cannot hold another public office. The law is against it. So Wike is not saying, give me the party chairmanship. That should make Atiku scared to say, if Wike becomes the party chairman, he will fight me because he lost for me. But so the question is that let power balance in the regions.
There were some demands which we were privy to in that London meeting, that the people who should control the party mechanism should be from Wike's camp. We even heard whispers that Wike's camp should produce the DG of Atiku campaign. Are these not also very strong demands?
Well, I am not a party man, but if you study political science, you will agree that popularity also counts. Is Wike a major player in the PDP today? Does Wike have the influence to influence voters to vote for Atiku?
That's a big question.
I'm coming to that. Yeah, that's the question. Does he have the influence to influence voters in Nigeria to vote for Atiku? Let's even look at the macro politics of the PDP. What number of votes did Wike pull? Was he a pushed over in the contest? If he wasn't a pushed over in the contest, it therefore means that he has a major role to play in the party's successes. Now, is he sincere in his agitations? Does he want to use those positions to witch hunt Atiku or to witch hunt PDP? These are what I think people should begin to analyze. To say Wike is aggrieved. Given these positions, he wishes them to fight the party. But if they are not, if that is not what Wike intends to do or what Wike body language speaks, then nothing will be wrong in conceding to his demands, the ones you can concede, because it is a win-win situation that you must strike a balance. If you say you are taking everything, then you leave somebody who also contributed majorly in the party's formation, in the party's sustenance till today. Would not, then how will he feel? So Wike will not be the campaign DG for Atiku. Wike will not be the party chairman. I don't think Wike will hold any position in the party, but Wike will support the party in funding and also campaigning for the party.
Is Wike?
So, but if Wike turn his arsenals against the party, can the party survive in Rivers State and elsewhere?
I was just about to ask you the question. You took it off my mouth straight up because I was about to.
I saw it in your lips.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you because many people have said, can the PDP just move on without Wike?
That's the point.
I mean, like, why is one man dragging the party back? Is Wike someone you can just, push off with a wave of a hand and then move on?
You know why Wike cannot be pushed aside? You know why the party cannot move on without Wike factor? Without Wike factor. Not even Wike now, the Wike factor. The reason is that because Wike has the likes of Bode George, the likes of Samuel Otom,
Shey
Makinde and the rest behind him. Now look at Wike. Is he alone in his position, in his clamor? Does he have that follower that is backing him up? If Wike were to be alone in this position that is canvassing,
ignored.
By now the party would have moved on. I wouldn't see the party dragging on, trying to campaign to lobby him, but because Wike has a major stake in those who are following him. And so if Wike has contributed so much for the party's sustenance before today, and he has that large number of followers, governors, party stakeholders, party trustee members like Bonijo and the rest, I think one should sit again and begin to listen to what Wike is saying than push him aside.
So Wike's contribution invariably to the party, let's get it clear, because for him to be calling this much shot, then there is something he's doing fundamentally. Is his contribution in the area of funding? Because we've also heard whispers that his state and one or two other states have been the ones sustaining the party all this while. So is Wike's support in the area of funding what the PDP is scared of losing on Wike's clout in politics?
You see, I would rather take it that it is the Wike clout that the party is afraid of losing, not the funding.
Not the funding.
Because the moment the party emerged, the party produced its candidates in Atiku, funding can come from everybody. There are people who will go and invest in Atiku campaign just because of appointment, contract, and all the rest. Even major companies who want to invest in Atiku and the rest. So funding may not be the issue, but the issue is the cloud.
How
like I
popular
have
is
just
Wike?
mentioned.
How popular is Wike in today's politics?
That is
How
why
popular?
that is why I said, look at the macro politics of the PDP convention that produced Atiku. What was Wike's score? Was it a keenly contested primary convention that Wike lost? Wike wasn't just a pushover. If you had followed the campaign, you would have seen Wike turn the whole Abuja red. And everything was Wike. And the summary of it is that if not that Tambuwal withdrew,
and his votes went to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar,
I think Wike would have won. So that is the major fear that people should now begin to see, to say, Wike is a factor. So if Wike is a factor, how do you appease him? You look at what he is demanding. Are those demands what you can easily, settle, resolve, and let go? You have become the party's candidate. What else do you need than everybody to work with you? And if everybody that should work with you is saying that this person, this position, this office, this policy should be amended, this one should be done, what I think you should be of concern to you should be, I want to be the president. Whatever we can do, all stakeholders should resolve their issues. Okay, we let go this, let go that, amend this policy, and then let's move on. When I become president, we can get back and everybody can be carried along. Let me tell you one thing about the president office of the president. It's so large that everybody can be carried along. So what I foresee, if this crisis lingers on, I foresee a party that will only be making noise because of the crisis that it has and lost focus and lost the context that the party should be focusing on. So the best thing is let the party resolve their crisis, resolve their internal issues. I have always said, maybe you have forgotten, that it is good to be a messenger in heaven than being a manager in hellfire. Simply put, if you are the party's chairman and you lost the presidency, what have you gained?
Nothing.
But if you are a party chieftain and you win the presidency, you win, so you gain so much.
Chances are that you get something.
So, if I take to tell Ayo, resign when I become the president, I will give you appointment or something else, and then that is done. But if at the end of the day, Ayo is holding party's chairman position tight, and Atiku loses the contest, all the members.
But is the party unanimous in the call for Yorcha Ayu's ouster at the moment? Because the conversation on the table now is for Yorcha Ayu to go. Is the party unanimous? Are the PDP governors all in agreement? Because there's a Wike camp in all of this conversation. Mm-hmm. We have not heard from the other governors. You have Udomi Manuel there. You have countless Bauchi State governor. You've got them. You've got Tambuwal. You've got the rest of them. So are they unanimous in this call? Or will this factionalization eventually become the bane of the party?
You see, these names you have mentioned have not been talking.
They've been quiet.
I've not heard, for example, Gov Nyesom, who also contested the primaries, the PDP convention, talking. I've not heard Tambuwal talking. I've not heard other...
The Bauchi State governor.
Talking. I've not heard them talking. You know why? Because Wike is hitting on a major issue. Will Governor Emmanuel say that it is not right to have a certain become the party's chairman after somebody from the north become the party's candidate? Will Tambuwal say that the Wike should keep quiet, that somebody from the north should become the party, should remain as the party's chairman when the north has a candidate? So when you look at it, morally speaking and legally speaking, there is no basis for those places you've mentioned to support such kind of positions.
Yeah, but their silence
is because Wike is scoring a political point. Wike is holding on to something that is very germane, that can make or mar the party's campaign in the country. The party can score political points in the north, but when you leave the north and move down south, what will he be saying? Now Wike has made it clear to the world, to the south, that you have been lost out, you have shut out of PDP. Now PDP has become a northern, party.
And that's a major narrative he has created. That's a major narrative there.
Which must be corrected by the party. So when the party wins the vote in the north, and you come to the south to campaign, what
are you
will
going
be
to tell
saying?
the Southerners?
How will you counter this argument that Wike has put up? That is why you see these governors, or these ones you have mentioned them, being quiet, and they are doing underground, discussion that there is need to listen to what Wike is saying. That's what I'm saying. For political reasons, and for the PDP to be able to redeem its lost glory and its image from this battered war that has happened now, is for PDP to concede to Wike and allow that the party's chairman move to the south. So that when the party comes to the south to campaign, somebody in the south will speak the language of those in the south. When you go to the north to campaign, the candidate of the party who is on the north will speak for those who are in the north. That is how you can be able to strike a balance. Politically speaking, I'm not giving any free advice for free of charge.
Well, I hope they take it. I hope they take it. But let's get this clear. If before this chairmanship issue started, this leadership crisis that we're seeing played out, if before now the argument has been on the party reneging on its constitution, that the North should not produce the president, how then will they be able to convince voters who have accepted that narrative from the beginning?
That is why I said that the PDP has got it wrong. Now the PDP that has upheld zoning over the years have got it wrong this time around. Even though I'm not a fan of zoning, but I believe in power sharing. Like what Wike is saying now is power sharing. Wike is not saying zoning again, because already zoning has produced the parties. The zoning has been shifted aside, and the parties candidate has emerged. What you say now, balance the power now by sharing the power, by giving the party's chairman to the south. By so doing, you have struck a balance. Now, when the party comes to the south to campaign, the party can simply allow somebody who is from the south, who is the party's chairman, to speak the language of the south.
Will that be enough to woo them?
Well, that is not left for them.
Because a lot of Southerners are still of the opinion that they were stripped. They were stripped of their opportunity.
The argument that why those people who are majorly supporting the obedient movement seem to be loud. Now, I'm not campaigning for them now. Seem to be that loud. It's because of this, perception that the South.
It's the turn of the South.
And it should even go to the Southeast. You get that? You go, South and Southeast should be appeased. So that is why you can see this obedient movement being too loud than you can even imagine. It's coming like the people's movement. I'm not campaigning for them. But the truth is, when you sit down again and listen to the conversation, you now see that this is to bring out complete justice and total reconciliation after the civil war. I have said that we're still fighting mental war after the civil war. That to allow that complete healing is for that kind of arrangement. Whether from the south and from the southeast is also allowed to test the office and see what it is. Let's see whether the demands will be less. We used to have the youth in the south, that is in the oil producing zone, the Niger Delta region, protesting, demanding that the presidency will come there. In fact, we even had several conferences. We had movement, agitating oil pipelines. We have vandalized and the rest. But shortly after somebody from the south became the president, those demands, became expired.
Yes.
Because you recall that Dr. Goodluck Jonathan went to the creek when he was a vice president to meet with the militants. So you need someone who can speak the language of the Easterners and Southerners to also clinch the office. When the time comes, that is what they will be saying. Now, back to your question as to whether the PDP will be able to sell their candidate when they come to the South. It's left for them because they have made their choice. They've chosen whom they want. And whom they want is Atiku.
Okay, so I'll hold you there because the fact is that there's so much to talk about this PDP leadership crisis. But the phone lines are on your screen, and I know that we have a caller joining us. Good afternoon. Welcome to Talking Point.
Thank you very much. My name is Sonny from Benin.
You're welcome. Let's get your contribution.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I want to appreciate your guest again. Sometimes when he talks in your morning station, it looks like he's preaching sermon as a minister of the gospel. And I like the fact that he has not going to deviate from his passion. You know, and if you look at what he presents, civil liberty, that is how it's supposed to be.
Mm.
And I know that there are several persons who may not like it because when you speak against a particular party, they see you as an enemy.
True.
Then when you talk in other parties' favor, they see you as their friend.
Mm.
Then tomorrow when you talk against them, they see you that you have been brought over.
Mm.
So at least for some time now, I have followed his analysis, whether in your morning program, he has remained consistent. And surprisingly, I have shared his own view from the South with him. If you look at it, like this man was sharing your program, there is a place for morality.
Mm.
There is a place for constitution. If we say the party constitution has said A, and they didn't follow the constitution, now if you now look at the action and morally, is it okay?
Mm.
And if you even listen to Iyocha Ayu some few months ago, he said that if a president emerge from the north, he will resign. You know? And he made a promise that he will resign. It will be unfair to Nigeria if he doesn't do that. Now, Atiku Abubakar has emerged as their flag bearer. With that issue of morality, without preaching to him, naturally, you should have accepted it that he should resign. Now, I want to say again that you are beating a baby, and you are even telling the baby how to cry. I have said before that Wike did not lose the election. Surprisingly, I have never been a fan of Wike. But if you look at it from the scenario of this presidential campaign, you don't realize that Wike was running on the fact that they said it was the turn of the South.
Mm.
And if you narrow it down, he was supposed to go to the Southeast. And that's why I found that the BJ movement is moving. Not because naturally the man will be qualified, but because they said it is the turn of the South and narrow to Southeast. Then lastly, I want to also say that now you have people have made an argument that how many votes will you get from the Southeast? One makes a political party. And when you look at the electoral act, you are going to get a vote from a particular number to 10 of the country. And PDP have always won the Southeast, the whole of Southeast. When you go to presidential election, you know, even though you not say because you are looking at the total number, which votes will come from there, it was supposed to be the responsibility of the South of the North to ensure that they gather votes for whoever that is coming out of the flag bearer from the Southeast. So they didn't do that. So it's not a one-man show.
Okay.
You understand? So I encourage them that now that they use that to push out a Wike, we also have the right to convert or you need to convert. And if you look at the document is right. I have said on your show before that if they are white, let them not push him aside. Let them see what they can do to see how they can work with him so that the other day they will get results. Otherwise, all these shenanigans, all these issues will not be a wasted time and effort.
Okay.
I want to thank your guest for his effort so far.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We really appreciate Sonny all the way from Benin City. That was a very, very elaborate one.
Yeah.
And he has been able to, you know, underscore some of the things you said.
Exactly.
Which are facts.
Repeated them,
yeah, but the question I'm asking, why is there so much hue and cry about political parties when people can always go for whatever option?
We have a very faulty constitution. Our constitution has given the political party the alter ego, made them to become the alpha and omega, that they decide who becomes the candidates. If the party today put up a crap as candidate, that the person that you will vote for. So you will have between, like we are having today, people are looking at the aspirant who have come out today. If ordinarily they were to be allowed to go out without passing through parties, some of them
more like independent candidates.
So our constitution has made it so that the parties play dominant role and decide who becomes candidate. Because at the INEC ballot papers, you will see parties' logo
and not the faces.
Not the faces of persons. And so what we are saying is that there is need to amend our constitution to allow for independent candidacy, so that I can just move to INEC, pick the form to contest for governor or presidency or whatever I want, without passing through party or cabal. Because all this heat you are having today is because you must have to lobby your party's candidate, and even when you lobby the candidates, you lobby the other aspirant or stakeholders, you to also go and buy vote from the delegates. Because part of what we heard was that EFCC was at the PDP's convention, and when the money was still exchanging hands.
Yeah, but they didn't find any. They didn't find any.
This was a report that came out. So the delegates were camped somewhere. Why did you camp delegate? Why will a party pay a vehicle, carry delegate from a state to this thing. Delegates should just go on their own and go and vote, and then you come back home. Why will you be lodged in Abuja or lodged in a hotel? Who pays the bill? That's the point. But if we allow where you can move to INEC, pick the